So, revered Prapandananji will begin this discussion on Bhakti Yoga, and the topic that he will be addressing is Vedanta and the role of rites and rituals. Revered Prapandananji from Vedanta Society in Sacramento.
All major religions have three parts: philosophy, mythology, and rituals. Rituals give philosophy a concrete form which enables a person to understand it. In a sense, a ritual is concretized philosophy. Most of us cannot understand abstract spiritual thoughts until we grow spiritually. So, rituals are indispensable in all religions. The association of a particular temple, ritual, and any other concrete form has a tendency to bring the minds of the followers of those religions the thoughts for which those concrete forms stand as symbols. Swami Vivekananda has said in Karma Yoga, quote, "It is not wise to ignore rituals and symbolism altogether. Every rite which we consider as holy was simply an old custom. Vast majority of human beings always want something tangible to hold on to, something around which to place their ideas, something which will be the center of all thought forms of their minds. There is no reason why a person should not use symbols. They are there in order to represent the ideas signified behind them. The spirit is the goal and not the matter. Forms, images, bells, candles, books, churches, temples, and all holy symbols are very good, very helpful to the growing plant of spirituality. Rituals are made of various forms and ceremonies, various physical attitudes, flowers and incense, and many other things that appeal to the senses. Swamiji said, quote, "The greatest men I have seen in my life, the most wonderful, developed in spirituality, have all come through the disciplines of these rituals." Once a reporter asked Swamiji a question, quote, "What relation does ritual bear to religion?" Swamiji replied, "Rituals are kindergarten of religion. They are absolutely necessary for the world as it is now. Only we shall have to give people newer and fresher rituals. A party of thinkers must undertake to do this. Old rituals must be rejected and new ones established. As a matter of fact, spiritual truths are difficult to grasp even with the intellect. Intellectual understanding only does not bring any benefit in actual spirituality. Spiritual truths are realized through a pure heart. Vedanta rites and rituals are meant for purifying the mind. The use of images, symbols to represent God takes us to that direction. Worshipping an image or symbol is nothing but thinking of God. Turning one's thought toward God is a great purifier. A devotee thinks that God emerges in a spiritual form from the soul in the heart and is passed into the image, and the image comes to life. It is a precondition to purify the body and mind before a ritualistic worship. This idea of holiness is not limited to images only, but to mountains, rivers, cities, even to certain trees, herbs, flowers, etc. Rituals help to regard everything in nature as a holy object. Again, thinking of God, His presence in nature, the divinity of the soul, thoughts about purity of the worshipper's own mind and body form a mental background of all Vedantic rites and rituals. For some time, thoughts of purity checks the disturbances of the mind and leads to a mood of spiritual oneness with God. Rituals connected with a worship service is a good example of this point. Before proceeding to do the worshipper takes a bath in clean water, cleanses the body, then puts on a set of clean clothes. The place of worship is associated with holiness. The articles used for worship are thoroughly cleaned. Before setting the worshipper turns the mind towards God through meditation, chanting of hymns, and repetition of the holy name. After purifying the articles, the worshipper offers them to God, represented through the image or symbol. The worship process resembles like an entertainment to a guest. Through the process of purification, the worshipper tries to bring himself or herself to the level of the divinity, and by offering gift articles, brings the divine to the human level. This creates an atmosphere of divine communion. There are various elaborate aspects of different rituals which are followed according to traditions and schools of faith. If pursued sincerely, the faculty of pure intuition is developed in the mind of the worshipper. Sri Ramakrishna is a recent example to this effect. He had the vision of his choice Godhead through sincere worship. Pursuit of philosophy and rituals need not be mutually exclusive. It is evident in the lives of some of the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna like Swami Ramakrishnananda, Swami Turiyananda. Not too long ago, in our order, this was exemplified in the life of late Swami Onkaranandaji Maharaj. An accomplished academician, a formidable scholar of scriptures, a versatile exponent of different branches of philosophy and Ramakrishna Vivekananda literature, he was equally proficient in performing intricate ritualistic worships of Kali Puja, Jagadhatri Puja, etc., without any outside help. He had a deep knowledge of dedication ceremonies of temples and different types of fire ceremonies. Under his supervision, the temples of Varanasi Advaita Ashrama and main temple of Belur Math were dedicated. Initiated by the Holy Mother in the year of 1919, he joined the order in the same year. Swami Shivanandaji Maharaj initiated him to Brahmacharya and monastic vows in the years of 1920 and 1923 respectively, and he became a trustee in 1929. He was vice president of our order from 1966 and 1973. He was vice president of our order from 1966 to 1973 when he left his body. So, in Vedantic tradition, there is no conflict in rites, rituals, philosophy, and all branches of religions have respect and application. Well, I have taken 8 minutes. And I shall tell you the story why I took 8 minutes. The story is like this, that I worked in Rajkot, where the Gujarati Publication Center is there, and there is one book. You must be familiar with that. That is by Swami Buddhananda. That means that is control of the mind. That is the subject matter. And that book is very well known, and it was translated into Gujarati. And one gentleman from Bombay came, and he introduced that you are translating this book. I shall bear the cost of that book, the printing and other things. So he introduced himself as a barrister at law, and he practices sales tax. That means he is a lawyer in the field of sales tax. So he told his stories and all those things. He's a very respectable, a well-suited person, and I could guess that he was definitely very well placed in the society also. So he said that, Swami, in our profession, if you want consultation, what you have to do is this. When in the field, if you are familiar with Indian condition, you know, there was a lawyer, his name was Nani Palkhiwala. He was very well-known jurist of India. And he said that when people used to go to him for any consultation regarding matters. So his secretary will tell that as soon as you enter, you should put your question. Don't greet or anything. And why? Because he charges, in those times, it was just 51 rupees per minute. So that gave me the impetus that I should start first and say the story later. Thank you.
Thank you, Prapanananji. He will not charge us for this story. Only 51, not dollars, rupees per minute for 8 minutes. Swami Ishatmanandaji is the next speaker. His topic is Vivekananda's Advaitic Bhakti. Oh, he is the new head at the Vivekananda Vedanta Society in Chicago.
यस्य स्मरणमात्रेण जन्म संसारबन्धनात् विमुच्यते नमस्तस्मै विष्णवे प्रभविष्णवे. Just by remembering whom one gets the liberation from the circle of death and birth, I bow down to that Vishnu. Revered Swamijis, Prabhajika Matajis, dear devotees. This is a very interesting topic. Vivekananda's Advaitic Bhakti. Advaita means no, never two, only one. Or Dvaita. As the Islamic tradition they say, La ilaha illallah. There is only one, no second. Then who will love whom? Now, when this topic came to me, I just read it out. It was in the email. I read it out and one devotee was there. Oh, this is a very difficult topic. Who will love whom? Because bhakti means love. Here, in the bhakti, that Martandakara, he says, bhakti shabdasya pardartha prema. This word bhakti means love. And according to the famous devotee, is Narada, sa tashmin parama prema rupa. This is all love. Even Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna said, Ishwar ke bhalobashai bhakti. Bhakti means loving God. So always we need two persons, God and the devotee or someone. Then only I can have the love. I can. But where in the Advaita Bhakti? So this devotee commentator is so difficult. Advaita, they all hear so many years about the Advaita, they know about it. Advaita, how it can have love? Another one, he immediately said, why? He can go straight before a mirror and can have two. So that was, in the mirror is two. So that way, in long back, I remember one novice, he joined in our order, and one day a senior found him standing before a mirror and making faces. So, hey, what you are doing? I am trying to understand myself. Then he said, do it in private, otherwise people will think you another way. Just look. So the Advaita, this one. Now, how this Advaita, Swami Vivekananda is telling that how this Advaita can be as a bhakti. He, in one of his poems, and beautifully is writing in Bengali, Jive prem kore jei jon, সেই জন Shebiche Ishwar. The one who is serving these people living or the people, he is actually worshipping God. This is my own translation right this moment, so please don't mind. So, the jibe prem kare jei John, shei John sheviche Ishwar. The one who is loving or giving the service to the living being, actually worshipping God. How? Vivekananda is just emotion? Is it just poetry? No. In the Veda we find, he is telling, Ekaham bahushyamavihi. I am alone, I like to be many. Similarly, we find in the Upanishad also, they say, Ishavashyam idam sarvam. The God is pervading, all pervading God. Everything that you see is nothing but God. In the Bhagavad Gita also, it says, Sarvata panipadam tat, Sarvata akshi shiro mukham, Sarvata srutiman loke, Sarvamavritta tishtati. What is that God? Whatever you see. The head, the eye, the ear, the nose, all being is nothing but God. Just to impress in our mind, he is telling it this way, Pani, Pada, all the hands and the feet and everything that you see. That means all creatures are nothing but the manifestation of God in different names and different forms. Even in the Bhagavata Purana, there also the Rishi, Kapila, he says to his mother, Devahuti, Aham sarveshu bhuteshu, bhutatma avastita sada. I am residing in every being as the Atman, Tvam abhaggayamam martha. But you people not knowing this, you are insulting me by worshipping me inside a temple or an image like that. Sri Ramakrishna said, Chok buje Ishwar ke dekha jai. Chok khule dekha jai na? When you are closing your eyes, sitting in meditation, and then realizing God within your heart, can't you just open your eye and see God, all living beings? So here, Vivekananda's Advaitic Bhakti is all one. But right this moment, all in different names and different forms. So this is Advaitic Bhakti we find. If the God is in all form, then why this temple? Why this image? Why this worship? If God is in everywhere, then naturally, why you are spending so much of money to build the temple? You know, there's a Goswami Tulsidas ji. He is a great devotee of Sri Ramachandra. And Ramachandra in person he used to worship. And he has a very famous book. Ramacharit Manasa is remembering, just imagining that God, Rama, is continuously going with him and all these things. One day, he was worshipping and then invited all gods and goddesses. He kept the asana, the seats for all gods and goddesses, except for Rama, his Ishta, his beloved God. He has not kept that seat, but he is a devotee of Sri Ramachandra. Then as if Sri Ramachandra came, he didn't find the seat. The seats are all named over there, marked over there for Vishnu, for Shiva, for the... There is no Rama. Then Rama came, and then afterwards he found no seat, and he came and asked Goswami, Tulsidas, where is my seat? In a wonderful couplet, he said like this, Poocho hu mohi, ki raho hu kaha. This is a couplet they always say in the northern India. Almost all people, they know it. Doha, chapra, like this. You are asking, oh Lord, you are asking me where you will sit? Okay, I will ask a question to you. You give me the reply, then I will spread the seat, arrange the seat over there. Poocho hu mahi, ki raho hu kaha, main poochata sakuchao. I will ask you a question. What is that question? Jahan na ho tohu dehu kahi. Tell me where you are not. Tu mohi baithao. So then, then I'll spread your seat over there where you are not. See, this way, from the image worship inside the temple, we come, we bow down, we offer our puja, and slowly, we're transcending this thing and then worshipping anyone and everyone that we see. And that is Vivekananda's Advaitic Bhakti. Namaskar.
Thank you, Ishat Mananji. Now, Pravrajika Prabuddha Prana, she has come all the way from Sri Sarda Math in India, Dakshineshwar, India. So, she will be speaking on preparatory bhakti and parabhakti.
Thank you. My humble, loving pranams to all my elder brothers and sisters, and to all of you, my loving greetings. I feel very inadequate to this subject. I tell you what, soon after I joined the Math, I went to the Belur Math with another novice sannyasini, not sannyasini, brahmacharini. At that time, Suji Maharaj, Swami Nirvananandaji Maharaj, was at the Math, and so we went to him. Then there was a long queue for his darshan. We went in the queue. When it came, then he would ask everyone, when they came to him, what do you want? So when it came my turn, I said, Maharaj, I want Brahma Jnana. And Maharaj said, ho, 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 ha, 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 for a long time. Then he said, first you get the grace of God. So I was, that ball went down the steps a few notches. Then we went to Swami Abhayananda, Bharat Maharaj. When we went to him, my companion said to him, Maharaj, we have joined the Math recently. And he said then, oh, you have joined the Math. How is your sadhana going on? She said, well, Maharaj, we are trying to meditate. We want to realize God. Oh, God. Everyone wants to realize God. Nobody knows what God is, but they want to realize God. So there was a very thick silence for a while. Then I said, but Maharaj, we don't know what God is, but we know that Sri Ramakrishna was infinitely deeply loving, and he had an infinitely broad mind. Maharaj liked that very much. He said, yes, yes, Sri Ramakrishna is infinite. And he repeated, Sri Ramakrishna is infinite. See, when we want to think of God, it's very difficult. Maybe it is impossible for a human being to think of any but a supreme human being as God. Sri Ramakrishna gave the example of a wall beyond which is the infinite space. He said, the avatar, the incarnation of God, is like that hole in the wall through which you glimpse the infinite. The personal God is Brahman concretized. Now, the problem still remained for me. How can one acquire that devotion by which I can get the grace of God? Josephine MacLeod, Swami Vivekananda's great follower and friend, said about Swamiji, he knew he was divine, and because he knew it, he could give it to others. If you have money, you can give money. If you have spirituality, you can give that. You can only give what you yourself have earned. So how do we earn bhakti? We know by japa, discrimination, service to holy people and having their company, self-control, renunciation. All these purify the mind. In bhakti, renunciation is not forced. It is a natural process. The further we go towards the east, the more the west is left behind. As love for God grows, worldly desires diminish. Sri Ramakrishna had a vision of the Haldar Pukur, a pond in his native village. He saw a villager taking up the water in the palm of his hands and pushing away the green scum on top of the water, again taking up the water to see if it is clear, again pushing away the scum. Then he understood the meaning of this vision of his. He said, one has to work hard to realize God. There are 3 types of bhaktas. Which type are you? Tamasic, Rajasic, or Sattvic? I tell you, the Tamasic bhakta wants his own happiness, and he's not bothered about God's. God should gratify his desires. He only takes from God. He doesn't give. The Rajasic bhakta thinks, I love God, so God should love me. He will do some worship so that he can get something from God. It's a matter of give and take. And the Sattvic bhakta, purely unselfish. He doesn't want anything from God. He only gives. In the Narada Bhakti Sutras, we read, one should devote all actions to God and direct lust, anger, pride, and so on to him. Once I was at a retreat in Thousand Island Park. I said to one of the devotees, the neighbors are playing that loud music again, love songs, popular love songs. It was so loud, it's disturbing us, isn't it? She said, oh, my teenage children, they play these love songs all the time at home. I don't mind it. I said, you don't mind it? Yes, I don't mind it, because I always think that they are singing to God. This is the meaning of giving a turn to all your emotions, all your thoughts, all your deeds. Well, in order to love God, we must have some relationship with God. In the scriptures, there are 5 kinds of relationship. Shanta, placid love. Dasya, love of a servant towards his master or protector. Sakya, the love of a warm friendship. Vatsalya, love between a parent and a child. Sri Ramakrishna recommended this as the purest of relationships. And Madhur. This relationship was of the highest conjugal love. Now it is said that Swami Vivekananda was all jnana outside and all devotion, all bhakti inside. You have read, perhaps, his farewell letter to Josephine MacLeod, in which he wrote, I am only that boy who would listen in rapt wonderment to the wonderful words of Ramakrishna under the banyan tree in Dakshineshwar. That is my real nature. O Lord, I come. And then 2 sentences later he writes, O Mother, I come to thy warm bosom, floating wherever thou takest me. It shows his association with Sri Ramakrishna as the Divine Mother. He doesn't make a distinction. He says, I come, Lord, I come, Mother. A devotee develops Ishtanishta. An example of that is given as a wife who feeds and serves her brothers-in-law, but she has a special relation with her husband. Now, there are 3 manifestations of bhakti: reverence, shraddha for holy people and places of pilgrimage; priti, or pleasure in God and all things associated with God, that's sometimes called samipya bhakti; viraha, or intense misery because of non-attainment of God. The higher stage of bhakti is ecstatic love, bhava, mahabhava, and prema. The higher stage of bhakti, Sri Ramakrishna says, is the intense love for God that makes one forget the world and even forget his own body, which is so dear to him. Sri Ramakrishna realized God by this intense yearning. What sort of yearning? A disciple asked his teacher, please tell me how I can see God. Come with me, said the Guru. And he took him to a pond, and they both got into the water. Then the Guru suddenly pushed the disciple's head under the water, and when he struggled and struggled to get up, at last he released him and asked him, well, how did you feel? Oh, I was panting for a breath of air. That is how we have to feel to realize God. The bliss of God is the source of all joy. With love of God comes love for everyone in the world. One sees him in everything. As once I saw a drama by Rabindranath, The King of the Dark Chamber. In that, the chorus was, my lover is in my eyes, that is why I see him everywhere. One who has this extreme love for God becomes love itself. I hope I have covered the subject. I now conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuddha Pranaji. Now, Brother Shankar from the Vedanta Center in Atlanta. He will speak about Vivekananda and the mother.
I want you to know that I'm clearly aware the next program is lunch, and so I will not detain us unduly. I'd first like to thank Swami Atmagyanananda Ji, Swami Brahmarupananda, and Swami Mahayogananda for this wonderful occasion. And also thank the devotees of this place who made it possible and for asking me to be a part of it. Revered Swamijis and Pravrajakas, beloved devotees, the topic for the next few minutes is Vivekananda and the mother. Now, there was a choice to make. I could tell you about Vivekananda and the mother, or I could let Vivekananda tell you about his relationship with the mother. I elected the second choice because why have a middleman? This is from a letter to Swami Shivananda, written from the US in 1894. You have not yet understood the wonderful significance of Mother's life, none of you. But gradually you will know. Without Shakti, there is no regeneration for the world. Mother has been born to revive that wonderful Shakti in India and make her the nucleus. And making her the nucleus, once more will Gargis and Maitreys be born into the world. Dear brother, you understand little just now, but by degrees you will come to know it all. To me, Mother's grace is 100,000 times more valuable than Father's. Mother's grace, Mother's blessings are all paramount to me. Please pardon me. I am a little bigoted here as regards Mother. If but Mother orders, her demons can work anything. Now, how did Swamiji see himself in relationship to Mother? There are many stories. I'll tell you just one. When he came back from the West the first time, Mother was praising him. Mother was praising him, saying what a wonderful job he had done. And he said, Mother, Mother, we know whose work this was. By your mere will, you could raise up lakhs of Vivekanandas. Lakhs of Vivekanandas. We're reminded of the tree that Krishna showed Arjuna with thousands of Krishnas hanging on the tree. We'll get to that in a moment. Why did Swamiji see Sharada Devi this way? This is his admission. This is an excerpt from the complete works of Sister Nivedita, titled, I Had to Accept Her at Last. How I used to hate Kali and all her ways. That was the ground of my 6 years' fight, that I would not accept her, but I had to accept her at last. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa dedicated me to her, and now I believe that she guides me in every little thing I do and does with me what she will. Yet I fought so long. I loved him, you see, and that was what held me. I saw his marvelous purity. I felt his wonderful love. His greatness had not dawned on me then. All that came afterwards when I had given in. At that time, I thought him a brain-sick baby, always seeing visions and the rest. I hated it. And then I, too, had to accept her. No, the thing that made me do it is a secret that will die with me. I had great misfortunes at the time. It was an opportunity. She made a slave of me. Those were the very words, a slave of me. And Ramakrishna Paramahamsa made me over to her. So are Thakur and Ma one, or are they two? The future, you say, will call Ramakrishna Paramahamsa an incarnation of Kali? Yes, I think there's no doubt that she worked up the body of Ramakrishna for her own ends. You see, I cannot but believe that there is somewhere a great power that thinks of herself as feminine and called Kali and Mother. Swamiji saw that in Sri Sharada Devi. We know this from other instances. We know the story of him taking 7 dips in the Ganges. 7 dips in the Ganges before he would approach her, and then coming in his wet cloth into her presence. This is from Swamiji's inspired talks given in July 1895. The calm sea is the absolute. The same sea in waves is the Divine Mother. She is time, space, and causation. God is Mother and has 2 natures, the conditioned and the unconditioned. As the former, she is God, nature, and soul, humanity. As the latter, she is unknown and unknowable. Out of the unconditioned came the Trinity, God, nature, and soul, the triangle of existence. Of course, we hear in this echoes of Shakti worship in the Devi Matmyam, the hymns of the Chandi. More directly, Swamiji says it so clearly in his hymn to the Divine Mother. Without her, where is virtue, where vice? Where is destiny, the writing on the forehead? Without her, where is action, where the fruit of action? May she, the chords of whose sovereign will control all laws, may she, the primal one, shelter me everlastingly. Oh, where shall I find refuge save in her, whose glories manifest in the universe? Oh, where shall I find refuge save in her, whose glories manifest in the universe in powers immeasurable, whose powers swell the ocean of birth and death and transform the immutable into the changing and divided. Now, we heard earlier from Prabhupada that Swamiji knew himself to be divine. This is also from Swamiji. Mother is the first manifestation of power and is considered a higher idea than father. The name of mother brings the idea of Shakti, divine energy and omnipotence. The baby believes its mother to be all-powerful, able to do anything. The Divine Mother is the Kundalini sleeping in us. Without worshiping her, we can never know ourselves. All-merciful, all-powerful, omnipresent, these are the attributes of the Divine Mother. She is the sum total of the energy in the universe. Every manifestation of power in the universe is Mother. She is life, she is intelligence, she is love. Established in the idea of Mother, we can do anything. She quickly answers prayers. A bit of Mother, a drop, was Krishna. Another was Buddha. Another was Christ. The worship of even one spark of Mother in our earthly mother leads to greatness. Worship her if you want love and wisdom. Now, this is the divine seeing the divine and telling us of his relationship and giving us some guidance on ours. Now, many of you here, I'm sure, are disciples of Swami Swahanandaji. Some of you may have been fortunate enough to have Swami Swahananda ask you this question. Well, do you want a namby-pamby mother? Swami Vivekananda emphatically did not. In 1898, Swamiji made a pilgrimage to Amarnath. After that experience, the Swami's devotion became concentrated on the mother. It was touching to see him worship as Uma, the 4-year-old daughter of his Muslim boatman. He once told his disciples during these days that wherever he turned, he was conscious of the presence of the mother, as if she were a person in the room. His meditation on Kali became intense, and one day he had a vision of her, the mighty destructress lurking behind the veil of life, the terrible one, hidden by the dust of the living who pass by, all the appearances raised by their feet. In a fever, he groped in the dark for pencil and paper and wrote his famous poem, Kali the Mother, then dropped to the floor, losing consciousness, while his soul soared into Bhava Samadhi. On September 30th, the Swami abruptly went to Shir Bhavani, leaving strict instructions that no one was to follow him. It was not until October 6th that he returned. Before this famous shrine of the Mother, he daily performed Homa and worshipped her with offerings of kheer, made from 1 mond of milk, rice, and almonds. He told his beads like any humble pilgrim. Every morning he worshipped a Brahmin Pandit's little daughter as Uma Kumari, the Divine Virgin. He practiced severe austerities. He became like a child before the Divine Mother. All thought of leader, worker, or teacher was gone. He was now only the monk in all the nakedness of pure sannyasa. And who was the mother? And who was that mother Swamiji was worshiping? This next and final quote is a few lines from a free translation and interpretation of Swami Vivekananda's poem, "And Let Shama Dance There." They were written by Peter Schneider, Hiranyagarbha. Peter called his interpretation, "Let Kali Dance." In the poem, first Swamiji's salutation to the mother. O Shama, dark one, O Kali, destroyer of all, you alone are true. Sweet little Krishna is but a shadow of your reflection. Terrible mother, carve the truth out of us. Poke out our illusions. Come, sever our dream of happiness and strip off our fondness for the flesh. And then Swamiji's resounding call to us. Wake up, you are a hero. Blink your dreams away. Death is right in front of you anyway. Is fear going to help you now? Of course it hurts to become yourself. Birth hurts, death hurts. But this struggle is God, whose temple is the cremation ground. Constant struggle, that is your offering. What is sacred? What is God's? Constant defeat doesn't mean anything. Light your little name and its hopes on fire. Make of your heart a cremation ground, and let Mother dance there. Let Mother dance there. Such was Swamiji's renunciation and his invitation to us, if we are to worship the Mother that he knew. Thank you.
And we have a few minutes for questions. One question. Why, you don't have any question? Swamiji says, and that is the question that is being put to panelists. I suggest Revered Prapanananji give answer for that. Just as it is necessary for a man to go through symbols and ceremonials first in order to arrive at the depth of realization, so we say in India, it is good to be born in a church, but bad to die in one. What exactly does he mean when Swamiji said that? Have the Vedanta societies today become just like churches?
Well, Swamiji actually insisted that we should grow in spirituality. That is the important thing. Where you are, from there you should grow. So in that sense, churches are important. That means temples are important. And there are two types. That means those who are entry level, for them it is very good, and they should not stick to that. That means just going to the temple and attending worship and then go to worldly things. That is not enough. That is the import, as I understand, of this saying. After knowing things, one needs to practice oneself. That means one should grow spiritually inside through different practices. That there are many practices which are really helpful for spiritual growth. In our system, we have these initiation ceremonies and all those things which intensify spiritual practice. So basically, the saying, the quotation that Swami Yogatmana said is an impetus or an saying of Swamiji to go forward. That means we need not stuck to what we have and try our best to have the highest realization. That is my understanding.
Any other question? Okay, I ask one question.
And in that case, I would like to elaborate that what Revered Swami Prapanandaji was telling. As many faiths, so many paths, as Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna said. By the giving the word church, I think Swamiji, Vivekananda ji was meaning that. So you have a faith, you have a belief, but don't stop over there. Don't think this is the only path. And by no other way one can reach God. And that is a bigotry, that is the narrowness. That's why we wonder, here in 1893, Chicago Parliament of Religion, I think second or third lecture, before the gathering of the elite people, educated people, Vivekananda said only a small story, a frog in the well. And that is the answer. Don't be frog in the well.
Very good. No, I will keep it for later. Now, because there isn't much time. What I was asking was about, these topics that are given. One important aspect about bhakti seems not exactly covered in this, and maybe Prabuddha Prana can answer that. Where is the place of Guru in this? This idea was not explicit in the topics for the panels. So you can elaborate on that, because that is an important thing in Bhakti Yoga. So what is the role of Guru?
Let the Mataji do it, but we want questions from you, not from him.
The Guru introduces the devotee to God. The Guru, Swami Vivekananda said, is like a crystal. He can see the future and past of the disciple. So he knows what path in which to direct the disciple. So the Guru is the inspirer, and also the one who will protect and inspire that person. What else shall I say?
There is one more question here.
See, even when you are walking, when you are learning cycle, in anything, swimming, even the eating, when the small child will be eating, he doesn't know where to put. He will be putting on the head, on the nose, and like. The mothers only, they teach. For everything we need Guru, and to realize God, we don't need Guru. So that's why we need some people who know it, and otherwise it will be mistaken. All the time it will go like the child to put the food not in the mouth, somewhere here. So Guru is necessary.
Yes, please, you go ahead with your question.
So this is what the goal, the ultimate goal, so we understood from the talk was of bhakti is to see God in everybody and everything around you, because God is manifested in everything. So it's easier to see, imagine God or think of God when you are surrounded by holy people or in holy people. And it's easier to think of God when you see people with excellent traits. Okay, it's difficult to imagine God when you are with people who are hurting you physically or difficult emotionally even, playing with your mind, or people in general who are rude and things like that, and who are not so spiritual and things like that. So it's difficult for us to imagine God in them. Of course, it's a matter of practice and it's a matter of discrimination and all that. But what would you suggest that we should do when we are faced with surrounded by people? It's also in us, but how should we approach these kind of things so that we can actually realize that it's God, everybody, or think of God during those situations.
Shankara.
Restate your question very clearly. We should do what?
So, the thing is, goal ultimately is to see God in everything and everybody. So one of the things that you could do is start trying to remember God every time you are, confronted with a person. It's easy to do that with holy people. It's easy to do that with people who have with whom you think have excellent traits. But it's difficult when you are encountering people who are...
Right, understood.
Yeah.
Okay. You start at the beginning. You start at the beginning trying to begin to see the divine in yourself. Until you see God somewhere, you will not see God anywhere. The easy part, is to begin to see the divine within yourself. This is the whole role of first a guru, who is the face of God for us. When we become rightly resolved, where do we turn? We find a guru. As Krishna said, rightly resolved, I see no sinner. So we begin there. We find someone who can inspire us. Then, as we turn within according to their instructions, we begin to find something is here. So our self-image, our self-concept changes quite naturally. Swami Atmastananda said about spiritual practice, I can tell you the whole secret in 5 words. Guru, Guru's instructions, practice, finished. Guru, Guru's instructions, practice, finished. So that's what we do. We find a teacher, we follow the teacher's instructions, we find something is here, and then when we begin to see that clearly, more clearly, then we begin to see it in others as well, quite naturally and spontaneously.
Now, if I am allowed to, as the gentleman is asking the question, we are asking them to see God in everything, isn't it? Then how to practice it? That is the main question, actually. See, God in everything, and we have to practice. One boy was running, and he was chased by a dog, barking. And at a distance, his friend was standing, and he said, hey, where you were running? Don't you know the barking dog doesn't bite? Well, I know. Does the dog know? So, similarly, you know that God is in every being, but you have to behave accordingly. That is your judgment.
My question is very simple. He said, simplify the question. I am seeking a guru. Where do I find it? Swamiji, when he saw Ramakrishna, he knew that was the mother. He devoted himself. You all propounded that so beautifully, brought tears to my eyes. Radha found Krishna, and she was devoted. In this day and age, today, I am seeking a guru. Tell me where I find it.
So you are seeking a guru, but guru also wants to know who is the disciple is. And now if the guru asks you to do this, are you ready to do that? Like Swami Vivekananda asked his disciple, if I believe that it will do tremendous good to you, then I will tell you, go and jump from that high building. Are you ready to do that? Then only you are ready as a disciple to accept the guru. Only if you go and see what the guru is doing and judging like that don't do. Because in Hindi couplet they say, the guru mile to lakh. In millions you can find the guru, but Shishya, you have to be dedicated. If you are really ready, you will really find your own guru.